Hello, it's Phil Thatch, and today I'm trying out a new toy that I purchased from my friend Joy. This is the AFS Micro Nikkor 105mm f2.8 macro lens, and as you can see, I've got the FTZ, and I'm also using another thing that I bought used over Facebook Marketplace. This is a 1.7 teleconverter. Now, I've always wanted this lens, and when I bought my macro lens, I bought the Tokina 100. I had no idea that my teleconverters would work with this lens in those days, and I actually just learned when I found out that Joy was kind of wanting to part with this. I learned that my teleconverters would work with it, and what a revelation, because it turns it from a 1.1 macro lens to a 1.7 macro lens. That's completely wrong. It changes it from a 1-to-1 macro to a 1.7-to-1 macro. And of course, I've got the 1.4 and the 2.0, which change it as well, but the 1.7 is kind of the best compromise that I've found so far in my early experimentation, with a lot of range and still pretty good autofocus performance. And we are going to find some wildflowers down this road over here and make some macro photos of them. So I'm going to be using this. This is it's by a company called Neewer, N-E-E-W-E-R. It's their Ring 48 light. Really inexpensive. I've had it for years. I think I bought it on Amazon maybe, and it has this little device right here which fits into your hot shoe and holds 2 AA batteries, and then it has a wire that plugs into that runs to this, and this sits on the front of your camera. Now, it comes with several different filter thread adapters, so you just find the correct filter thread for your lens, screw it on like a filter, and then hang this light on it. And I guess it's called a Ring 48 because maybe it has 48 LEDs in it, and you can get it right up on your subject and have plenty of light. Now, it's bright daylight, but I'm still going to use this. It helps, even in bright light like this. Okay, so Heather spotted this pretty little purple flower, and we ran it through Google, and it's saying it's an aster or something like that. Maybe even a New England aster, which would be strange in South Tennessee. But so I got the rig fired up here, and I'm shooting, let's see, I'm at f/16, and I'm shooting at about 1/500th of a second with automatic ISO. Now it's got much better light on it. So I'm using single point autofocus, just trying to get the center of the flower, which is probably the most important part, in focus, and then I might crop the image later for composition. Okay, here is the first photo of the day, the beautiful tiny purple wildflower that Heather found, and I'm really glad she did. Otherwise this video might be 100% about yellow flowers. If you look at this flower photo really closely, you can see a couple of really small bugs. The most noticeable one is the one at the top. Okay, so the reason we actually came to this location, this is a little bit down the road from the purple flower that we just took pictures of, but it's these beautiful yellow wildflowers that have come up on the side of the road here, and I put it into Google, and it's calling them a woodland sunflower. Really beautiful. I almost feel like I've waited a little bit too long. They're starting to not have that new beauty to them. But anyway, I'm going to see what I can get. They're bigger than I thought they would be. I'm kind of able to fill the frame with them. I need to find them pointing the right direction for light. The brightly lit and shaded areas on the back of the camera I didn't like at all, but now looking at them in post, they don't bother me nearly as much. And I ended up liking a lot of the photos in the light that I was complaining about. I ended up liking those quite a bit. Okay, I want to jump into Lightroom real quick for just a moment and show you something amazing about these flowers. They have lots of little black spots on them. And also look over here, this photo is hardly edited at all. I bumped the shadows up 18 just to get some detail in the center dark area here. Gave a little bit of clarity, a tiny bit of vibrance, and a little bit of vignetting. But other than that, it's pretty much straight out of the camera. But look, and so that part of the edit took like 30 seconds. But look at all these, I'm not sure if you can see them, there's just hundreds of little black spots on the petals of these flowers. Now that's not lens dust. There is a couple of spots of lens dust that I had to correct, but this is actually on the flower itself that you can see at this close range. So of course I went up here to this tool and got rid of all those. Now that I've turned the tool on, you can see all the spots where I used it to get rid of black spots on this flower. Just, I don't know how many, but at least 100, maybe 200. They're all over it. So that took probably an hour of getting rid of spots. The rest of the edit was 5 minutes. The light's not that great right now. Sometimes bright light's really good for macro, but it's just not pretty light right now. I may have to come back and try this location again, maybe closer to sunset or sunrise. I'm trying a composition now with more than one in it, just to kind of see how that comes out. Just not thrilled with the light. If the light was coming like that, it'd be great, but from the side, the shadows aren't all that good. I like this photo quite a bit artistically, although it's not using anywhere near the full power of this lens and teleconverter combination. When I used the maximum magnification, I could actually get just the center, darker part of the flower to fill the frame, but I didn't think that was beautiful, so most of the shots are pulled back a little bit from maximum. Here's one that's kind of turned the right way as far as the sun, and looks like we're about to get a cloud, which will soften the light up a lot, so that's going to help. It's kind of breezy out here. The flowers are wobbling around. Hard to keep them in the frame just right. Which is another reason to have lots of shutter speed. Okay, so that was a huge help. Did you see what I just did? Yeah. I used my hand to put a shadow on the flower, which will diffuse the light, get rid of all shadows that the flower's making on itself. Just softened the light up a ton and made it much prettier. I need a bigger shadow maker than my hand. I may have to... So a litter bug has thrown this Subway cup out of their cars. They went up the hill here and I kind of tore it up and have made myself a diffuser with it. This one looks like it's a slightly different species. The petals are more narrow. Got kind of a cool composition on this one. If I can get it in the shadow, I'm getting this flower to the left and that one that's not quite open yet on the right. Putting my focus point over on the left. So I'm gonna try to make the focus point the center of the flower that's open. It's proven to be tricky to do all this, especially when you factor in the flower moving all over the place. So I thought it was interesting, this first shot of this composition with one flower open and another flower right beside it closed was one where I missed with my shadow, and it was way easier to edit. I didn't have to do nearly as much to it, and I thought it would look terrible in the field, but in Lightroom I liked it better, probably. It's funny, the wind kind of comes and goes. I managed to get a shot of it a minute ago, but my diffuser wasn't in the right place. That is a tough shot to get just right, and I don't think I've got it yet. Whew. Also, today is the penultimate day of September 2019, day before the last day of September, and it's got to be 98 degrees out here. I mean, it is scorching hot. So here is the first picture that I'm publishing that had the shadow on it with the Subway cup, and I found these were a lot more difficult to edit. The ones with the bright sun on them I could just kind of do just a few minor adjustments and be done, but this one took quite a bit, and I really didn't like the way it looked until I reduced the color substantially. And then after I reduced the color of that one, I completely eliminated the color of this one, and this may be my favorite, or it may be my least favorite. It depends on my mood. Tell me what you think. Do you like the one completely desaturated like this? I think it's kind of artistic, but in some ways I like the brightly colored carnival looking flowers better. This lens autofocus is pretty good by itself. With the 1.7, it's a struggle. With the 2.0, which I have all the teleconverters, I have the 1.4, the 1.7, and the 2. With the 2.0, it'll autofocus with it too, but it's really, really a struggle. Come on, wind, settle down now. You know, when you're doing handheld photography, you should brace and steady up, but I'm doing this, so I'm having to, you know, and this camera, even though it's a Z6, this lens with the FTZ and the teleconverter and all this stuff on it, it's heavy. Oh, holy cow, and then the wind stops while I'm blabbering. Pretty good. And it has a purple flower in the background. So this is another shot with the Subway cup shading the flower, and I like this one because it has one of those purple flowers from earlier in the video nicely out of focus in the background. Really pretty, and also the background was dark. A lot of the other ones with the shadow on the flower, the background was bright, and that made it kind of tricky, but this one the background is nice and dark, and it made it easier to edit. I'm going to have carpal tunnel syndrome after this day is over. So on this one I didn't use the Subway cup shadow maker at all. This one is completely backlit, and it absolutely made the color explode on this flower. I really like the way this one turned out, and I wish I had done more backlit flowers, but I only noticed this one when we were about to have heat stroke. Here is a bonus image. This is from a few days earlier using the exact same setup with the 1.7 teleconverter and the 105 f2.8 micro macro. This is a monarch butterfly on a lantana flower that I photographed at the Evelyn Davenport Navarre teaching garden, where I've done a couple of videos. And here's one more shot from that day, a skipper on a zinnia flower. I went out there that day and just took a few, I had just a little bit of free time before I photographed a volleyball match, and I took a few photographs with my new lens just to kind of test it out, and here they are. Well, we have made it back home, although we were only about a half a mile from home, for the hottest photography adventure we've ever had. Maybe it was hotter when we were in Viera Wetlands in July, but Heather was in the air-conditioned car. This time, poor Heather was filming me, and I overheated her and me. Are you hot?
I'm hot.
Yeah, so we're heat stroking, and I'm going to put probably some photographs at the Evelyn Davenport Navarre teaching garden that I made with this same setup. And we weren't prepared today, to be honest with you. The batteries ran completely dead in the apparatus to make my ring light work. The batteries ran completely dead in my Z6, and I filled the memory card because I hadn't prepared it all. I just picked up the stuff on a spur of the moment and took off. But still, I think there's a couple of photos here that are worth sharing, and I hope you enjoy, or I hope you enjoyed. So thanks for watching. Have a great day. And if we survive this heat stroke, we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.
Bye.